And welcome to the Business and Wealth Show with your host, Mac Attram, the business coach for entrepreneurs. And today I have the absolute pleasure to be in conversation with one of my good friends, Dave Hartnett, who I've known for many years. I'm trying to calculate, it must be a good 7 years or 8 years now, I think. Dave, welcome to the Business and Wealth Show.
Max, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, good catch up here on the show. Listen, we recently had got together, we had lunch, we had discussions, and I said, "Hey, Dave, the kind of thing you're sharing, we need to get you on the podcast so that you can share this kind of information because the wealth of knowledge, right?" And so now we're
Indeed.
not having lunch, but we are having maybe some glass of water, and then we'll have a conversation here. So everybody, stay tuned because we're going to be talking all things wealth creation. Dave's particular vehicle is real estate property development. So he creates his wealth through that and through business. Very interesting background. You need to stay tuned in terms of his entrepreneurial journey before he became into real estate property development. Dave is the CEO of Mountbatten Estates. As I said, he's a property developer and creates wealth through that. He has a whole team from planning to development to getting the whole thing done. And so, Dave, I want to start off by asking about your entrepreneurial journey. When did you become an entrepreneur and an investor? What were you doing before that, and what made you switch? Because did you ever work in corporate work or anything like this?
Sure. I spent a number of years working in estate agency, or as the Americans call it, real estate.
Yeah.
And I was an estate agent for a good while. First, kind of cut my teeth after university working with country-based Louise, part of the countrywide chain. And then a few years later, it was on to Hart Estate Agents, the largest private estate agents in the country. And then I made the switch from being an employee, working for an employer, when I got offered an opportunity to buy an estate agent that was running for 23 years. So that was my leap from kind of going from employed to self-employed.
So, what was that like jumping from employee to now you bought this business? Presumably, there's a small team that you've got to manage. Now you're responsible for all the cash flow that comes in or doesn't come in. What was that leap like?
I would be lying to you if I said I was if I wasn't out, I was way out of my comfort zone. I actually had to have a long conversation with my wife, Laura, because at this stage, I'd been an estate agent for a good few years. I'd climbed through the ranks. I had a managerial position, nice car, a few holidays a year. So I was in a really comfortable position, in my comfort zone, I guess, for want of a better word. And I I was happy, to be fair, I'm really a hard worker. I am a grafter, so I was actually winning every type of award that they were offering. So for me, it was fantastic. I had a job for life. They had a great employee, hitting all their targets. So it was a good win-win for everyone. Um, I came across Tony Robbins at a point where I was a good few years into the agency as an employee. And funny enough, I actually came across yourself at the same time. So it was both Tony and yourself. And, people who are listening to this will appreciate I actually went out and, I did some attended Max courses and weekend stuff. I did the same with Tony Robbins. And it was that really kind of was a pivotal mindset change for me. It was about, oh, right, okay, all the good stuff happens when you're outside of your comfort zone, pushing yourself, meeting investors, building a brand, building a business, having multiple sources of income, and just taking ownership of that. And that really intrigued me. So I'm a massive action taker. So what I learned through Mac and Tony, I applied, and it wasn't a coincidence while I was doing all this. an opportunity came about where this lady wanted to retire. She had this business going for about 23 years, and she was a grandmother at this stage. She'd built up a very big lettings book. Now, for those who are probably listening, an estate agent is primarily valued on its lettings book. Why? Because sales fall out of bed. So the only thing that's guaranteed is that lettings book, that lettings income that comes in each month. So I actually structured a no money down. That was my first no money down deal, I guess.
Nice.
So I structured something where it had a decent amount of income coming in each month. There's about 160 properties on the management at this stage. So the price that we agreed, basically, I structured a deal where I bought the business for nearly no money down, and then basically paid her off each month from the money that was already coming in. So for me, it was a fantastic, I couldn't lose. And the money was already guaranteed. And I'm one of these people that always tries to explore other avenues. I think it's important to have multiple streams of income. So I wasn't really content with just the lettings book. I set up the sales department. I set up a commercial sales and lettings. I also set up a land and new homes division, and I brought a whole load of staff, really good, high quality staff that were people that I associated for many, many years. So I knew that they're fantastic at what they did. And I scaled the business within a very, very short space of time. I think within 4 or 5 years, we're doing quadruple, maybe more business than it was ever doing before. But that, again, I started to get back into my comfort zone again. Right. Now, this is compared to my agency days. I was driving a slightly better car, taking maybe 1 or 2 extra more holidays a year. And, it wasn't really challenging me. So I thought, okay, I need to do something here, to try and feed that, put that fire back into my belly. So I thought long and hard about this, and I had another really kind of uncomfortable conversation with Laura again, and she said, "Look, Dave, you have to do what you need to do. If you think that now is a good time to come out of agency," and I thought it was, Brexit was on the rise, and Section 24 was talked about, right. The tenant fee ban was talked about. I thought, wow, if all this comes in, then that could be quite, dramatic and reduce the value of the business quite dramatically. So I made a hard decision to sell the business after building it all up, and it was probably the best decision I ever did, because now I'd bought all my time back, had a lump of funds I could play with, and that was really what got me into property development, and the rest is history.
Fantastic. Before I'm going to go deeper into in terms of psychology of success and what happened as you went through that transition. But before I do that, let's give people an idea of what is it you do now currently as a property developer. I know you've got lots of opportunities that you're on and working on with your team.
So primarily we are property developers. That's the majority of what we do. What that basically means is we find land, we find buildings that are maybe vacant. We get planning permission or permitted development to convert that building into residential, or we get permitted development to build apartments in the airspace above the building, or we get planning permission to convert those gardens or those plots of land into residential units. We flip sites on to other developers with planning consent, and we take a healthy margin for that planning uplift. And we also build out a lot of sites as well. And I think we've got we're on site with a lot of projects actually. I think we've got about 4 that is running all more or less at the same time. And we've got a 5th one coming online as well, and we've got a whole host of sites in planning right now. They're just coming out of planning that we'll be building out as well. But the pipeline right now, in the last 4 years, we've built it from zero, with no sites, no money, no real money to throw at this, but no sites, no team, no brand, nothing. But in the 4 years, we've built it up to 120 million GDV pipeline.
120 million GDV pipeline just in 4 years alone, which is fantastic, yes. Which is just simply amazing. Now, it takes, for those people who don't know what 120 million GDV pipeline means, is this: by the time all the developments are completed, the value of that, of those properties, all those different sites, when you add them all up, the value of all the properties would be 120 million pounds. And if you're outside of the UK, then you're talking about 160, 170 million US dollars, right? Over the 4 years alone. Now, the reason why I wanted to speak to Dave is, how do you create a mindset like that, whereby before this opportunity, before this new business, you would move from employee, work with someone else in your comfort zone, went and got some education from Tony Robbins, other teachers, including me, came to my program. You took some massive action. It got you out your comfort zone, and you went in and became an employer. You became a small business owner, self-employed with this estate agency, and that went well. You built that up. You sold it. Fantastic. At the right time, by the sounds of it.
Yep.
And now you've got this freedom to do whatever you want. Now you've sold it. You got some money that you've realized. Can I ask you, the realization of you don't create real success in your comfort zone, what does that mean to you? Because you said it a couple of times about comfort zone, comfort zone, comfort zone. And I see people who have opportunities, but because of comfort zone, because of security, because of safety, they say, well, I really wanted to do that. I want to do that. 2 years go by, 3 years go by, and they still haven't done it. And they still haven't started it. What have you got to say to that?
So money's nice, but money doesn't get you out of bed each day. It doesn't get you. I mean, I believe it or not, I'm up at 3 o'clock every morning. I'm in the gym at 3:30 every morning. And then I do the gym. I'm on my laptop by 5:30, 6. That's when my day starts. I do that because I've got passion, and I'm very driven and very focused, and I've got that fire in my belly, which you need in order to be successful. But money is not driving me. It's the brand. It's a legacy for my kids. I've got a very big why, which is driving me. So that's my kids, Laura, creating a legacy for them and my grandkids and everyone else. And I knew that having a business and having a decent income coming in, I would only be back in my comfort zone, and no one ever grows in the comfort zone.
Absolutely.
You'll get bored. Money, again, just after a while, money's just money. What really excites me now is building something, scaling something, growing something, leaving something for the kids that, it won't just be the kids, it'll be their kids and their kids that will benefit from all the hard work that I'm doing right now. So, very big picture. And I'm someone, when I started, I could give you a million reasons why this shouldn't work, or why I shouldn't be successful. You need a lot of money to do this. Well, I'll burst that bubble now. You don't. There's lots of investors out there. When they see that you're passionate and driven, and you've got the knowledge, and you're doing good things, they'll want to be part of that journey. I don't want to have experience. Okay, well, there's people you could join venture with, and that's why I've built a really good team, like you mentioned earlier, Mac, of planning consultants, architects, project managers, quantity surveyors, CEOs, CFOs. I've brought them all on board to build this vision that I have, because I know I can't do it on my own. And I needed that help and support. And you're only really ever as good as the team you build. And for me, it was about building an amazing team that want to be part of this journey and be part of the vision and grow with me. So I'd like to say now we're in a really good position with a good brand, a good team behind us, a good track record, decent amount of capital behind us as well. It does get easier because when they see all that progress, people want to be part of that journey, and whether you're investors or agents or other types of property professionals, it does get easier.
Let me ask you this, then, Dave. In terms of, if someone's listening in and they think, well, I want to create wealth, I want to create legacy for family, my kids, or whatever, and it sounds great what Dave is saying, What are 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps you could say that they can take to create that kind of wealth, that financial freedom, or that great cash flow or passive income vehicle, which over time really doesn't rely on them? Clearly takes a vehicle, but is there any tips you can give in terms of do this, do this, do this, do this, do this? Because for everyone, I think the vehicle is going to be different. Not
Yeah,
everyone will want to do property, but there are other vehicles they could choose depending on their time and how much money they have, right?
yeah. Um, I always knew I would be successful. And you have to, it's like going to the gym and having that motivation and habit to keep you going and to be consistent, because
Mm,
you won't see results straight away. It'll take you a year or two to see the exact results you want. So it does take a little bit of time, but you have to have an unshakable mindset, and you need to have a clear vision and see it in reality, even though, it's not a reality just yet. But coming to a couple of points you just mentioned, what can people do? Sometimes when you start, there's a few things that you can't do. When you start, maybe you don't have the track record, or you don't have the money, you don't have the team. But I knew all that, but I knew there was one thing, regardless of everything else, that I could do, and what I could focus on. And what that was making myself investable, getting the right type of knowledge. Because the knowledge you have right now has only got you to where you are. You've probably heard this before, Mac.
very
The
true.
knowledge you have right now has only just got you to where you are. So if you want to go somewhere else and go to a higher level, guess what? You need to shake that up, and you need to get back out there. And I thought, I was quite a clever guy in property. I've been an estate agent for a long time, and I thought, there isn't really too much out there that, I don't know. But how wrong was I? I went on that Tony Robbins course, and I went on your one. And, you said, when was the last time you educated yourself and gone on the course, and be open and willing to learn new things and meet new people and join venture with people, so you don't have to do this journey on your own. So when I learned all those things, and like I said, I'm a massive action taker. I went out there and I went networking, and I went to every course, and I got mentors, and I went to masterminds, and I got the education.
Mm,
Now you got the education. There's an old saying that always sticks with me: to know and not to do is the same as not knowing.
so no, yeah.
So to know and not to do to know and not to do is the same as not knowing. So there's no point having this knowledge if you're not going to apply it. So again, I'm a big action taker. I had the knowledge, I started applying it. Um, and there's an old saying as well about getting laser focused for 6 months can put you years ahead of everyone else. And that's so true, I promise.
Mm.
So for me, Mountbatten was set up in March of 2020. I'm pretty sure
Oh,
you'll
wow.
remember what happened
I
a week
remember very
later.
well what happened. Yeah.
So a week later, COVID kicked in, and again, I've done a lot of personal development, and that's helped me as well think and scale, and have the right mindset, because you need to have a complete mindset change if you're going to scale and think big and create. You have to have a big why and a big why, a picture, and believe that you can get there. So that all comes down to mindset, and having the right mindset. So you do need to kind of rewire your brain a little bit. But for me, I'm quite a positive person. So no matter what you throw at me, I'll always find the good in everything. So, okay, I've got COVID to deal with. What's the good? I've got no distractions. I don't have to be on the road. I've got no meetings. I've got a new business. All right, listen, it's a property development business. What do I need? Okay, well, let's go back to basics. I need developments. Do I have the knowledge to find sites? Of course I do. Am I good at planning? Yes, I've learned all that stuff as well. Am I good at prop tech and using site finding software in order to find the deals and create the opportunity and have the conversation with the vendor and make the offer? Yeah, I can do all that. So, I took ownership of all that because I had the knowledge. I was comfortable doing all that. So that's basically where all. So to kind of summarize, all this, what people can do, they've got total control over their education, and going out there and getting the right mentor and being part of the right mastermind and reading the right books, and just, exploring a little bit more about personal development and personal growth, because that's huge in this industry. Because like I said to you, you've got to see it before it's actually a reality, and that has to be quite strong. You need to be able to try and visualize that every single day, because that's what keeps you going.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you said. If I could summarize it, which I wholeheartedly agree with. One is if you want to create that wealth, you have to have self-belief. And you said, I believed in myself. I've got confidence. So if you don't have that self-belief, it's very hard. So that self-belief comes from your attitude, the right mindset, the ability to see yourself as a winner rather than someone things are happening to or a victim. Then the other side you said is get the knowledge, get the right knowledge, go and learn. If you want to make money through crypto or property or business or real estate, it doesn't matter. Get the knowledge because the knowledge will save you years. And often what you are paying for, you're paying for speed.
Yeah.
You're paying for speed. And that's what I say to people. If you're getting coaching, business coaching with me, you're paying for speed. Not that you need a business coach. It's just how quickly do you want to get there? And can you see what you can't see? No. So get someone else who can see the other angle to get you where you want to go faster. Get the right knowledge. And you said take massive action. In my words, it's just, I took action. I took action. You said COVID came March 2020, and a week before you started the business. Week later, COVID hits. What do I do now? Do I give up? No, you said I'll find a way, and you start building all this collateral and asset around you. Fantastic work, by the way, fantastic work. Because I've seen your elevation, I've seen your climb, and I remember you and one of your business partners, then your friend. That you both came to my course, my workshop, and you were active in it. It's not like you're standing still because my workshops are not for the faint-hearted. There are things to be done, and if you can't be doing that as an entrepreneur, getting out there as an entrepreneur is much tougher. So fantastic. So I want to say, what stops people really going for what they desire? Someone says, I want to be here in a few years' time. But what stops them getting there or making this kind of money or growing their business? What would you say?
Honestly, I think a lot of people don't realize how hard it's going to be. And they start something, but unfortunately, sometimes they're doing it for the wrong reasons. Let's take an easy one. They're doing it for the money. That's not going to drive. That's not going to get you up early. It's not going to keep you working late. It's not going to keep you working over the weekend and missing going out on a nightclub or a pub or they're not willing to put in the effort. Wow. That's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. But I'll explain what my journey was. I started in March, and it's a true story. I've got nothing to lie about. I was putting in 16, 17 hours a day site finding on the software. I was up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I was probably working till 10, 11, sometimes even 12 o'clock at night. And I was putting that many hours in every single day, 7 days a week, from March right through to September of 2020. And I did that every single day for every single month throughout that period. And I found thousands of sites. I sent thousands of letters. I had dozens of phone calls. I've made dozens and dozens and dozens of analyzing deals and making offers to get to a position where in September we tied up 5 developments.
Nice.
But that's pure dedication. That was me being obsessed. If I wasn't obsessed, there's no way we would have a pipeline of what we have right now unless you're absolutely obsessed with what you're doing. I knew that I could do it. It was only purely down to me, and if I failed, it would be purely down to me failing. And I knew I wouldn't give up on myself. So you have to be obsessed with what you do. You have to have a passion for what you do. You need to go way above and beyond what it's going to take. And I'm talking about having the right mentor, the right mindset, reading the books, going on the courses, meeting the people, network. When I was networking before COVID, I was probably networking 5 days a week. I was out every single night. So I gave up spending time with my wife and my kids to go out of my comfort zone to meet all these new people that I needed in my network to help me along that journey.
Yes.
So I sacrificed one thing for something else. So I always thought, you know what, I'm willing to work hard for 2 or 3 or 4 years, really hard. So I don't actually have to work as hard for my remaining years. And you have to do that. You have to know that you got to, as they say, burn the boats to be able to take that island.
Yes.
And I always knew that. So the harder you work now, the less hard work you're going to have to put in later on down the line, because it's going to be a lot easier. And
Yes.
it is, people are coming to me now to join ventures, so I don't actually have to go out and network anymore. Investors are coming to me now because I've got a great track record and they can see what we're doing on social media. So all I'm trying to say to you, if you don't put in the hard work now, it's going to be twice as hard, in 10 years' time. But if you work hard now, I promise you it's going to be twice, 3 times easier in 5 or 10 years' time. It does get easier.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. What about the person sitting there thinking, well, it's okay for you, Dave. I've got young children, and you did this from 6 a.m. till midnight and a little sleep, and I've got my family and I've got this. And people will have their stories and their reasons and their excuses and all this kind of stuff. What do you say to that person who says, "Oh, well, it's okay for you, but I don't want to live that way"?
So you don't want to live that way. When I started this journey, we had a small pot of cash. It was enough to get up and running. It certainly wasn't enough to buy sites. I had the knowledge, but everything else I had to fight really hard to get and to acquire. And believe it or not, you touched on kids. I've got 4 young kids at home. When I started this back in 2020, they're all 4 years younger than where they are now. So that they're all between, I would say, 4 and 8 at the time.
Right, right, yes.
Four young kids. Granted, Laura took a lot of the burden, which bless her, she was willing to do. So we could all have the kind of life that we deserved. So we all sacrificed, her included. But you just have to know that you're going to have to sacrifice something. And if you're not willing to sacrifice now, you will be sacrificing later on, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd say, I've been there, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. When I went on this journey, so there was a time when I was totally broke and struggling, and I realized that I wanted to change my life. And for solid 2, 3 years, I worked hard. And similar to you, your Laura, Linda was there as a backbone supporting me. We had young children as well. And like you said, if you're willing to work hard for the next 2 or 3 years, you never, ever have to work hard again. And that's exactly what happened to me. So nowadays, I live on purpose. I live on passion. I do the things I want to do, not because I have to do it. I don't have to do it, but I do it because of what I've created and not worrying about cash flow coming in. Fantastic. Now, for those who want to connect with you, what's the best way to continue the conversation or connect with you, Dave?
So we're quite prominent on social media. I mean, we have our own website, mountbattenestates.co.uk. I'm on all the social medias like Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and or what have you. I try and give an awful lot back. So when I started this journey, unfortunately, there was no, there was books and there was some courses. Sometimes the courses can be quite expensive, and you need to try and balance what can I afford this month compared to what I need to do and what have you. So I always said to myself, if I'm ever in a position to give a little bit back, I'll do that. So I put a portion of my time aside every week and every month to help people for free. I also do side tours of all my developments, so you can come out, meet team, meet the delivery partner, meet some of my investors, and network with other people, so you can grow your network, and hopefully that can help you on your journey. I do a lot of education as well for free. So I interview all my planning consultants, my architects, my project managers, my investors, everyone. They're all interviewed, and they're all on our YouTube channel, which is Mountbatten Estates.
I've
There's a
seen that. It's fantastic.
huge amount of content on there for people to learn, and that'll save you a huge amount of time, like Mac mentioned, and also a lot of money, so you don't actually have to spend it on courses. And if you're struggling, because the UK planning system is a little bit complicated, but
Yeah.
it's quite the only way to learn it is through a planning consultant. So I've spent that money and I've spent all that time learning all that planning. So now what myself and John, my planning guy who taught me all this, we've come together to share all this knowledge free of charge online. So once a month we do a webinar, and people can come with all their questions about sites. So instead of you spending a lot of money with a planning consultant, come to us, we'll fix it for free. There's no charge. So
Yeah.
there's something called the law of reciprocity.
Oh yeah.
It's all about giving out, giving away, and not looking for anything in return. And I've seen it so many times, Mac. It sounds a bit corny now for people who don't believe in it, but I promise you, karma is a real thing. It's a
Oh, yeah.
real thing. And I've seen it where I've helped people in the past, never expecting anything in return. And someone comes back and they want a joint venture, or they want a partner, or they want to do something. So it always comes back to you in abundance. So
I,
yeah, connect with me on social media. I'd be more than happy to help you on your journey.
so Dave Hartnett, connect with him on social media. We'll put it in the footnotes of this show as well. Dave, I want to say thank you for jumping on. Thank you for adding so much value. Thank you for letting people know that it's not easy until it becomes easy. But you've got to do the work in order to have the fruits of your labor. Those listening in, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to subscribe or follow, depending on which channel you're on. You know, the algorithm also loves engagement. So share, give us a thumbs up, give us an emoji, make a comment. Let us know what you thought of this show. Dave, any last words before we finish?
I would say what everyone has access to, and what they can do immediately is definitely get the knowledge. But it's not going to cost you an awful lot to start building a team, expanding your network. You can't do everything from behind the laptop. And I always knew that. So you have to get out of your comfort zone, unfortunately. This will require a bit of work, but there's nothing stopping you going out to networking events, meeting the right type of people. That's where that's where I've got an incredible JV story where I met this chap called Phil at a property golf networking event
Nice.
3 years ago. And it was just a chance meeting. We played golf all day. We had a couple of beers at the bar. We really clicked. And then a week later, we decided, yeah, look, we're doing the same thing, looking for the same sites in the same area. That was 3 years ago, and we've got 13 developments together now in 3 years. But I wouldn't have met that guy if I thought I could do everything behind a laptop. You have to get out there to meet these people, because that's where meeting these people are going to change your life.
There you go. All your money comes from other people.
It
So
does.
go out, meet people, and connect. You don't have to be greedy and say, what am I going to get? What am I going to get? What am I going to get? But be open to the law of reciprocity, law of
Yeah.
karma that Dave mentioned is give, and eventually it will come to you in ways that you may not even imagine. Dave, I want to say thank you very much. Thanks for jumping on, and we'll catch up very soon, my friend. Okay?
Lovely. Thanks for having me back.
You are.